another episode of Tech Talk. I'm here with Mark Edworthy. We do not know where Tan Hai Tran is. He's on the loose and running rampant in the city, so we'll keep an eye out for him. He's most likely at the frickin' meat department somewhere looking at fish or some kind of
Yeah.
seafood. But we will have him on here hopefully here before long. I know he's having issues with his eyes and allergies in the last stream that we
Yeah,
did
yeah,
together.
yeah.
So, with that being said, I'd like to welcome Bob Dub in chat, and I'd like to welcome Mark Edworthy here on the stream. And it's like I said before we got started. Bob Dub's in chat. She says she wants to listen, but she's most likely going to have comments. I've never heard her not give a comment when she's listening to these things, so it should be interesting. Now, I do have my stuff that in a chat that concerns what uh, Minds Gaming said about AI that I can go through and discuss and stuff. But before I get to that, what I want to do is I want to kind of go over some things that I did find out with a couple of platforms since I have done certain background, information on some of these alt tech platforms. But I also have something extra that I want to mention that concerns X, formerly Twitter, as well. I went in and I checked out their tier system for monetization and stuff like that, and got some interesting information that I wanted to share. Um, the first thing is with Odyssey. Now, Odyssey, I found out they did not sell off Odyssey to new owners. What ended up happening is they have new tech support and stuff like that going on. So there is a big transition there, but they, from what I've found out on Discord, help and support, or their Discord channel, they did not sell their corporation to
He
another person. So
did, but didn't they get extra money from an extra VC
they
and
in
additional VC, venture capitalists?
now we'll go ahead and kind of elaborate on that so I can get a better understanding.
Um, well, as we know, a lot of these companies live and die by money that's been given to them by angel capitalists or venture capitalists. Um, I thought Odyssey was received the new venture capitalist company interested in them.
Now that could be where the tech is coming from because they're getting that they're getting money. I did notice some changes going on in there, like they're pushing the
So presume if you're talking to a tech support operative, they're not going to be able to say very much. Either
dude.
they're under NDA or they're just not knowledgeable about these things.
Dude, I'm talking to Jiggy Tom.
Use Jiggy.
You know who Tom is, don't you? MySpace. MySpace founder, creator.
Yeah, but what position has he got in Odyssey?
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he knows what he's talking about. It's freaking Tom, dude.
Again, it could be NDAs as well. He could have signed a non-disclosure.
Well, all I'm saying is he said that they didn't buy or sell off. What they did is they freaking started. They have new people in tech and stuff like that that are going over
Okay,
the thing. That's what he told me,
so it was just a recruitment drive.
pretty much. And I
Oh,
have noticed differences like in their advertisement and stuff, and like their ads are insanely more than what they used to be. Like every time I get on there and I do any kind of function on that freaking platform, a damn advertisement will pop up. So it's like they're all of a sudden freaking selling advertisements left and right.
Well, presumably all that issue with Libra cost them a lot of money, and the economy still isn't great at
Yeah.
the moment. So,
Another thing that I did find out too, and I don't know how true it is, but they were talking in there, and it looks like they might be going into the Fediverse, just like Mines did.
yeah.
So,
Do you know how they're going to do it? Though?
no, I haven't gotten the technicalities behind it and everything,
They
but
haven't got they haven't got any press releases or white papers as yet.
yeah, not yet. But that's
Uh,
kind of what they're talking about in there. They're having a big conversation. Um,
yeah, so it's early stage, let's say early phase. So
mhm.
that could be, I don't know, a year. That could be, if not longer.
No, no, Bob Dub. She. No,
It's
I'm
long
not.
deadline.
I'm not talking about X doing that. I'm talking about Odyssey at the moment. Uh, be patient. I'm having.
Ah,
She,
okay, mine's
she's
that's
excited.
everything. I'm
She's
ex coffee.
she's
Yeah,
excited.
yeah. Could
She
have long discussion with on.
she's wanting to freaking hear all this stuff about X is what it is. She got an antsy.
Uh,
Okay, now
Listen.
but what I did find out though is that there's and it's hearsay. I'm gonna say that much. But in the
Okay,
conversation
yeah.
that they were talking, there's a good chance they're going over to Fediverse. So
That could be tomorrow, that could be next week, that could be next month, that could be next year, that could be next decade,
yeah,
for all we know.
exactly.
Until there's press releases and until it's been confirmed, then it's just another WhatsApp.
Mm-hmm. No, she's calling me a fancy pants. It's all about pants. Freaking okay. Now I'll get started on the X thing. Like
Mm.
Bob Dub wants to hear about now. I went in and see what it is. You remember Mines had their monetization program,
Yeah.
and they had their tier
In what
system.
form? In which forms?
Just one that they had just before they stopped doing the monetization for crypto and cash. The way they had it set up with the tier systems.
Okay.
Okay.
There's still got a tier systems.
Well,
You need the membership, what they call membership.
it's not worth anything. But I'm actually talking about real stuff with real money. Like
Okay.
so I mean now the thing is what I found. I went on to X and I started checking it out, and sure as shit, they've got a freaking system that's set up almost like what freaking Mines had. The difference is Mines we had to pay $60, and they have $85 where you have to pay for it for just premium.
Uh, this is related to their verification system, isn't it?
And
Yeah, and this isn't a new thing. This has been going on for
hold
6
on.
months at
No,
least.
no, this is where it gets good. Now you can get
Okay.
paid to freaking post. Okay. Just like you could whenever you was on Minds, uh you can get freaking paid to get posts. Like but
Have you read this? Okay, carry on.
the thing is their videos are only 4 hours, I mean, 4 hour limits on it.
That's more than what you need.
Right.
Most people need.
And
But yeah, I was going to say, have you read the contractual agreements from this one?
N- not I haven't read it, but this
Oh.
all does sound good and everything. But let me get on to the rest because this is where it starts going downhill. Now, um, they have freaking the premium and they have the pro, which they all look good and everything. And I started checking around and watching people's reviews on it and everything. And this guy came up and started talking about the tier program. So I noticed that he was leaving things out. Freaking, I knew about from whenever I've been on mine's pro, I guess. Not no, not pro, but mine's plus, because
Hmm.
it's very similar. And what I did is I asked him, okay, so freaking whenever you go on to freaking join X Pro, I get or Premium, do you freaking do do you, uh, do you have get cash or crypto or both? And he said it's cash only. So that was fine. I was cool with
Right.
that.
Yeah, because the SEC issue. Um,
But
I
then,
presume he was a public relations person.
yeah, but this
Uh,
is where it gets to the downhill part. But then he starts talking about and then I did mention the monetization. They're getting paid for your videos, and he says, well, you can. I said, do you have to wait a certain amount of time before you can get cash, or do you freaking have to wait a certain period of time? And he says, all you have to do is wait for your freaking monetization uh, uh, requirements. And I'm like, hold on, dude. So,
uh,
are you trying to say that after you pay $85, you still have freaking a requirement for monetization? Okay, and he uh, finally responded back to me and told me, yes, you have to freaking have like 1,000 freaking followers, and
okay. Yeah.
then you have to freaking have a certain amount of time that you were on there, and freaking
Okay.
I think it was like you have to be a member of the freaking of X for like 3 months at least, or and just stuff like that. But then, see, the thing of it is like freaking. So you're telling me that I pay $85 so that I have to freaking get 1,000 followers before I can get money back from it. Okay, 1,000 followers is not freaking as easy as what they're making it out to be. You know what I'm saying? It's just not. It's insane. I've been on X now for years, and I've got like 220 maybe.
Okay. I tend to take anything that public relations operative says with a pinch of salt these days. Important then is to read the terms of services and make sure that it's legal within your jurisdiction, and if necessary, seek legal advice on that one. But yeah, the important thing, the devil in the details is within the terms of
Mm-hmm.
in the contractual agreement.
Yep. Now, uh, Bob Dub says they are copying mines, and then she says they're paying advertisement revenue. Some people are getting thousands. What about the rumor that
Well, are they paying? Is X paying, or is this third party advertisers paying?
that's a good question. Third party, most likely, is what it is. X is
Okay.
no. She said.
I would like to see the contractual agreements on the one.
Now Bob says that no X is paying, so that'd be kind of cool. And she asked
Yeah.
to.
Again,
She asked too. But what about the rumors that Doge is going to be the cryptocurrency
that
of
is a
X?
rumor that's been going floating about for literally years now.
Yeah, no.
2, 3, 4 years.
Now see, I was wondering if she was being serious there because like Dogecoin has a joke behind it. It's a horrible freaking
Mm.
joke, but it's the truth. You know what I mean? Like
And
Doge.
also, it's a cryptocurrency rather than a crypto token. So, X has to step very carefully as far as the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission is concerned.
Yeah, and now freaking Doge is not really the cryptocurrency I think they'll be going with. You know what I'm saying? The only thing freaking lower in value than Doge is freaking Mines tokens.
Don't know, I haven't had a look at them for a long time. Let me just see if I can pick them up on my.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, I've not heard from them for a long time, so I don't know what they're in these days.
Now with the whole thing about the money thing, why they're doing money, I can see the the reasoning for that. That's why whenever I was on Mines Bob Dub, I refused to take cryptocurrency for Mines with monetization.
And not only that, but Twitter has got offices in other countries, and other countries obviously have their own legislation in relation to cryptocurrencies
Hmm.
and or currencies full stop. So it can be a bit of a complicated sort of thing.
Now,
But yeah,
what I would like to see is I'd like to see them get a little bit more freaking advanced and step it up because like on Rumble, and I think Kick might be doing this too, but they've cut away this bullshit with PayPal. And like with PayPal now, you can just get you a freaking debit card with PayPal and hook it right up into Rumble and get paid straight out of freaking Rumble onto PayPal.
which means that you're reliant on PayPal,
Hmm.
and that means another provider with your information.
Hmm.
Cool. I mean, yeah, granted, a lot of end users like a lot of the domestic consumers like PayPal, but PayPal hasn't been the most
What do you really want these
fair
websites?
company.
Do you really want these websites knowing your bank information?
Yes, because then, as a UK citizen, I've got various protections. But definitely I know as you as a US citizen don't have really poor protections, but in Europe, in the EEA and EU, um, our governments like to protect the consumer.
Boy, I'm gonna really, I'm gonna get you good in the next episode of Roger's Real Time Talk Show. I mean, you just so freaking happy about that English thing. I'm in England. I'm in
No,
England.
don't blame me. Don't blame me if your government agencies are somewhat questionable.
Well, I don't think England is really any better to be honest, because like I was talking about with Citibank, you know what I mean? If freaking
Um,
if something like that happens again, you guys are gonna get screwed. You're gonna get like 20 cents on the dollar for everything you put in your bank system. I mean, and that's just that's the way it is when they fold up and they go home. I believe they were in Panama, or was it? They were in freaking what's that one country where they cane people for doing crimes? Thailand. I think
I
Citibank.
mean, if it's 20 cents on a dollar, that's good for me being somebody who might die from the US. Maybe not good for people that send to the US, but hell, if I'm buying stuff from the US, good.
Yeah. Well, I also know like when it comes to bank accounts, it actually is safer to have your bank connected because like if something happens where somebody rips you off on the internet, your bank can take care of it. But like
Yeah.
if you hook a debit card up to it, then it's basically lost.
Depends on localized jurisdiction legislation. I think there is the FSA in the UK, which no, that's the fisheries, FCA in the UK, does protect debit card transactions up to something like I think 2,000 um, British pounds.
Well, the card companies are the ones who have to be responsible for the security, Bob. That's the thing.
Yes, but it's a much more wider thing. It's a much more nuanced sort of thing.
Yeah, it's horrible. too, because like freaking like they
Yeah.
get you get ripped off. Try to contact your freaking card company. Just give it a try.
Uh,
See how easy it
I
is.
can because my card company is my local bank, and I've got a building just about 10 minutes walk away from me.
Well, this your card company is the one that has to give you your money back if you
Yeah,
want your money back. You know what
yeah,
I
but
mean?
my card company is also my bank.
No, your bank is what
No,
happens is your bank.
no, my
Your,
cards company is my bank. My bank provides the card to me. Therefore, the contract is between me and my bank.
you better check that.
I
I already
totally, again,
found out.
again, we're talking about European UK EA laws there. We're not talking about the poor excuses of the laws that you've got in the US.
No, I'm telling you, it doesn't have to do with just the U.S. Your freaking card is freaking separate from your
It's,
bank. Your bank
no,
is
my,
your
no, no,
bank
no, no,
contracts
no. My
your
bank
bank
is
contracts
my
out to
debit
the card.
account. My debit card account or my debit card is provided by the bank. Therefore,
Are you hooked up
my
with Bank of
contract
London?
is between me and my bank. Whatever contract they hold with a third party is their business. But from a legal perspective, my contract is with the bank. Therefore, if anything goes wrong, and it is related to the fault of the card provider, then it is, in my case, it is the fault of the bank.
So if you're using your debit card to make a transaction on the internet and somebody rips you off, then your bank has to be held responsible instead of the card company.
It's been proven that I've provided false information or I've compromised my security in such a way that I'm at fault.
Okay.
But that's standard contract law agreement speak for any company,
Okay.
both in the UK and US.
We should probably check that out and find out more on it because I think that you probably don't know what you're talking about.
I think I do.
You're like a
Remember,
glorified
I live
Englishman.
in the UK. I've been dealing with UK banks for the majority of my life.
You're a
I've
glorified
provided
Englishman.
e I've provided e-commerce systems. I've created systems that allow for backs transfers and debit card and credit card transfers or implemented systems rather than created implemented systems. So
I'm going at this the wrong
I know
way.
exactly what
I'm
I'm
going
talking
at
about.
this the wrong way. It's like terms of service is what I need. I need to find out
Yeah,
what the
I
okay.
read obviously.
Whenever we
Me
do
being me, I read my contracts
whenever
inside
we
out.
do the next episode, freaking pull up some terms of service for us so that we can freaking hear them because that would be interesting too to hear even on the stream if anything because that's a good topic to bring up because when it comes to making transactions on the internet.
I'm not sure if I'm willing to do that because that's exposing what provider I'm using.
Well, you don't have to just read certain parts in the
Okay.
agreement. I'm not telling you to like tell everybody what bank you're working through and shit. That's not smart.
Mm,
That's not
yeah,
smart
that's
at
what
all.
I'm saying then. Mm,
So when we were talking about
okay.
card companies, we are talking about Visa and Mastercard. Yes, that's what we're talking about, Bob Dub.
Mm, I've got a Visa card, which is okay. My contract is with my bank, and then the bank's contract is with Visa. So legally speaking, my any issues I have got is related to my bank.
Well, it's like I said, check that out for us and get the information together, and we can go over it. Don't say what your bank is.
Mm,
Just pull it up because
mm,
we can do it.
it's nothing. It's a good, easy example. If I bought a sandwich from a local supermarket, say, I don't know, Tesco, very common UK supermarket, and and the sandwich is being provided by a third-party company, some bakery, no-name bakery, and then I go home, open up the sandwich, and find out there's no filling in it. Because my contract is with the supermarket. I bought the sandwich from the supermarket. As far as I'm concerned, it is them to be blamed. I don't go to the I don't need to go to the manufacturer and say it's your fault because my I purchased the sandwich through Tesco's, and therefore the contract is between me and Tesco's.
Hmm. It sounds good, but I'm just telling you what I found out because like
Okay.
especially when you're dealing with companies like Walmart. Walmart is notorious for having people freaking get mysterious amounts of money disappear from them, or they go on the Walmart website and they want to buy a pool that ends up being a freaking little miniature freaking
Remember also,
you
in
know.
some circumstances, financial fraud is a civil issue in the US, where the similar sort of thing would be a criminal issue in the UK.
Mhm. And I want to thank Mr. Robot too for pointing out that my audio was low, so I cranked it up like he suggested. Hopefully that works a little bit. So
Mm.
now,
All right.
since we found a new topic to bicker about, I'm gonna move to another freaking topic. This is where we go into the AI. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now this is freaking what I freaking pulled from Mr. Minds Gaming, and he had a whole bunch of stuff to say. So I'm gonna go ahead and read this off and see what you think of it. He says
Yeah,
hashtag.
carry on.
He says the hashtag of dynamic space-time theory. As a fundamental level, space itself is not something fixed or static, but rather a dynamic entity influenced by the distribution of energy and matter within it. The curvature and warping effect we obscure in space-time then emerge naturally as a response to the underlying dynamism. Furthermore, the theory suggests that black holes are not necessarily absolute endpoints in time or space. Instead, they can be viewed as regions in which extreme gravitational forces. I don't know if this is the shit freaking he had on there.
Hey, this why space in the Hawkins and Einstein.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was.
What's that got to do with AI?
This is what he was wanting to get into. I was sitting there thinking about it. Extreme gravitational forces create conditions so unusual that they become separate realities only accessible to quantum at the quantum levels. In this way, dynamic space-time theory expands on the concept presented in general relativity by proposing that space itself is not static or fixed, but rather dynamic and influenced by energy and matter distributed within it. Now, right here, this kind of goes into what I wanted to bring up after I read it. Um, Now, everybody gets caught up in freaking when freaking AI or if AI is going to freaking achieve consciousness, okay? But I don't think that that is what people need to be talking about. I think that the real thing is about personhood. Okay, now
Okay.
they've been bringing up tech, especially when it comes to personhood in politics, for quite a while now, and they're wanting to set it up to where freaking technology has personhood or rights as a person, like they do with corporations. Um,
Yeah.
and what I've understood about what determines a person when it comes to freaking philosophy is like he was talking about time. It has to do with time, okay? Like, uh,
Bob Dub just mentioned this is what his AI thought of. And no, it is a summary of what Hawkins' brief history of time. Um,
yeah,
I've read that book from cover to cover. That is just a synopsis of that book.
yeah, that's actually pulled off of freaking Einstein's
Mm.
theory.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it goes further into string theory and stuff, but
Exactly. Now,
yeah, basically,
now, what I was getting at too was they have to to be determined as a person. Okay, you have to. It's about time. Okay, like as a human being, me when I was 15, I was a, that was me. That was my me. Who I was. That was my person. I was that person. But see, now that I'm 51 years old, I'm not that person anymore. I've changed over time, and now I'm this person. Okay? So to determine what a person is, freaking a person has to freaking change over time from one
not
to
from a
another.
legal perspective. You're talking about more of a, I don't know, emotional sort of self-reflective
No,
idea.
it has to do
Um,
like when we were talking about when we were talking about freaking paradigms. Okay, now a computer program with AI starts out as that individual program. But as time goes by and they learn how to freaking change from one paradigm to another, they freaking evolve and become a different program. You see?
a person. A good example of this. In the UK, when you're born, you're provided with a national insurance number.
Hmm.
That, in effect,
That's the
is your
corporate.
person.
Yes, that's a corporate
Yeah,
thing too.
is your person, and that legally person doesn't change over time. It only changes when the entity, the human that is um, related to that person dies.
Now, you gotta understand the whole personhood with corporations. That's the newest on the track. Okay, like philosophers were talking about being a person even before that. Like they started really getting into personhood during the times when they were building railroads and stuff here in the United States back in the 1800s. You see what I mean? And it allowed them to create loopholes within the Constitution to where they could get away with shit. And that's where
Uh,
corporations actually started becoming corporations. And
okay,
that's why I also have a problem with like these amendments that are after the Bill of Rights. You know what I'm saying? Because like we said in the other episode, I mean, in your country and in Canada and even in New Zealand, you guys can freaking your politicians can play around and change the freaking constitution or whatever government you have in place according to a whim. But like our constitution doesn't
it's
change.
hardly a whim. It starts to go for the Senate. It still has to go
But
the
but
stamp.
see,
It's still
our constitution doesn't change. So what they did is and I do agree.
amendments.
No, the Bill of Rights and the amendments are separate from the Constitution. Now, What they did
Yeah.
is they moved on to the Bill of Rights and they added freaking amendments after the first 10. Okay, and like in the 15th and or the 16th Amendment, one of the two, this is where things start getting tricky when it comes to being a person and being personhood. Okay, like we have issues concerning abortion. Okay, and that right there is something that a lot of people have an issue against.
Yeah.
Then we have
Okay,
issues with
actually,
corporations.
I, before you carry on, Bob Dub just said that you are a person before you are born onto, and which goes into what you were just saying about abortions. And my own approach to that is in line with the 1962 England and Wales Abortion Act, where to state that a a fetus is a separate entity than a human.
Hmm.
Um, a fetus only becomes a human after what is it, 24 weeks of after 24 weeks of
Development.
yeah.
Development. Now,
So abortion up to 24 weeks, you're not aborting a human, you're aborting a fetus.
now, see, this is where it gets technical. This is where they want to frick. It's a person, okay, not a human.
No, no, a person can only be a person in this in this context. A person can only, or a person is only when it is human in this context.
Hmm. It,
I'm not talking about the corporate entity, but I'm talking about as in a living human being. So only after the first 24 weeks.
now, the the thing that I was trying to get at is like with it, that we had
Mm,
issues with abortion, and like every time I bring up abortion, we get a whole huge talk about it, and I never get to finish. So, me
mm. Carry
now
on, please. Feel free.
after abortion, you have on the other side people who hold on. After you have one side that's arguing about abortion, you've got this other side over here who are against corporations and they're against freaking them having their rights as freaking a person. Now, see, you have
Uh,
two
you
colliding
believe.
freaking factions who are against the same thing, which is that amendment. Okay, that one amendment. So now freaking our court systems are confused because if you turn around and you get rid of freaking this law, or you say this law is alright, then it says it's alright for this law. So if you want to get rid of corporation personhood, then you have to freaking get rid of freaking the abortion laws.
I'm thinking that I've not read the amendment, so I don't know. I would like to read the amendment and know the exact words it uses. But I think from what you're saying, it sounds like the amendment is too vague, too broad.
Yeah, it is. It's way too broad. I believe it's the 16th Amendment. I can pull it up later on and
Okay.
talk because this
Mm.
is something that I have gotten into and had to talk about um, when it comes to that because it was and then after that they've also been trying to push legislation to where freaking discuss uh, artificial intelligence, you know, and they have
Remember,
been.
any legislation that's done in the US is only relevant in the US.
Well, trust me, anything that's done in England is never freaking taken serious anywhere at all whatsoever. Nobody cares about what goes on in England.
Especially what's been happening in the last couple of years. I concur.
Take Tony Blair and just shove him up your asshole.
No thanks.
Okay, yeah, but
Uh,
that's basically what I've learned about that. And there's a whole bunch of things, okay, and it's like talking about freaking if AI uh, create it gets conscious, it becomes conscious, okay, and self-aware is completely irrelevant. They don't even have to do that. They just have to prove that freaking these programs are a person. That over time they change. You know what I'm saying? And
Well,
develop.
the entire self, we are a long way away from so-called self-aware AI or AGI or whatever. Yeah, we are, if we ever get there.
But yeah, they are
I
really
don't know.
they are really pushing.
I, yeah, this is done by a lot of marketers and idealists and people that are more into ideology rather than actual reality,
I I
in
can
my view.
I cannot believe he posted a whole freaking thing on freaking Einstein's freaking theory, dude.
Right? Oh,
Wow, I should have read this, man.
I saw a brief bit of it and didn't get, I didn't have time to finish it. I just
Yeah, the dynamic
had
space-time
more
theory.
important things to do. Yeah, I had more important things to do at the time.
And see,
I
this
mean,
this
I
right
mean,
here is a pretty good argument with it. But the thing of it is it dives deeper into philosophy, like and what is a person and what makes a person a person. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, and
Philosophy is meaningless. The only thing that's important in this context is the legal definitions.
well, that's the
We
thing.
can talk, we can have arguments about
That,
philosophy
that's
all the time, but
that's the
if I can
deal.
point
Like,
to a
you
good piece of
really
legislation,
being a person doesn't have anything to do with you being a human, okay? Now, you need to understand all that freaking being a
depends on
person is,
context. Depends on context.
all that a person is freaking your identity as being responsible for freaking what for you in your community, and that's it. It's about
No,
your
because you can have
responsibility as a human.
you can have a legally insane person.
Now
Uh,
that gets into another thing. If a human being is not capable of taking care of himself, he becomes a freaking custody of the state.
yeah, but it is still a person. A person is being a ward of state.
What'd you say?
A person is in this case, in this context, a person is being a ward of the state, so it's still a person.
Now, philosophical definitions. The philosophy.
I'm talking about legal definitions here rather than
Yeah, no,
philosophy.
I can.
Philosophy, again, is irrelevant in
No,
this
no,
context.
it's not actually. It's actually this is what defines freaking a person when it comes to
No,
technology.
in law, a person is defined by whatever is written within that piece of legislation or a corresponding piece of legislation.
Now, see, the concept of personhood is difficult to define in a way that is universally accepted due
Mm,
to its
mm.
historical and cultural variabilities, and the controversies surrounding its use is in some context. Okay. Now that's what we're having here is like everybody has their own opinion of what a person is, and nobody can come up with a clear definition to what it is because they
And
freaking are constantly
I mean, we
discussing
had
stuff.
this just last week. We had a similar sort of discussion on the same lines, in effect. What is intelligence?
That's
Um,
what it comes down to. And see, it's not
yeah,
about consciousness. It's not about this AI's freaking developing a consciousness. It's when are they going to be capable of becoming a person? Okay.
Whatever the legal definition of a person is within that context.
Now, according to a naturalist tradition, um, the term may be designated any human or non-human agent who possesses continuous consciousness over time and is therefore capable of framing representations about the world, formulating plans, and acting on them. See, and that's what we're getting into right there. So,
Yeah, again, you're using a
now,
scientific thing, and
now consciousness
scientific and
continuous
legal things, not
continuous
necessarily. No,
continuous consciousness too. So it's like um, they are mentioning consciousness. You know what I'm saying? So they do have to become conscious, and it has to be
in
continuous.
a scientific context. But again, we're not talking about science here. We're talking about legalese.
Actually, that is a true thing. Let me. Right here it says consciousness at its simplest is awareness of internal and external existence. However, its nature has led to millennia of analysis, explanations, and debate by philosophers, theologians, and scientists. Opinions differ about what exactly needs to be studied or even considered. So, yeah.
Okay, so in the case of a company, a corporation, does a corporation, I, what is in effect a bit of writing on a piece of paper, have is aware of its internal and external surroundings.
Okay, so you're um, you're talking about the external and external part, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's a corporation. Something that is just a legal fiction.
Yeah, that's what I
Have
consider it.
any awareness?
Now, see
And if
the
so, does that mean this cup has got an amount of awareness?
that's the thing I learned about
Because again, this
on
is
that
good.
too. The consciousness of a corporation is its board of directors. You're thinking too broad and
Yeah,
getting
but
too.
the corporation itself,
The corporation is the board of directors and the stockholders and everybody in it.
no, the corporation is the company, is the fiction, is the company itself. So it's a bricks and mortar and the infrastructure that surrounds that
I know you think it's more complicated than
entity.
that, but that's what I've learned. It's the stockholders, it's the freaking chairman of the board, and freaking the chairholder or chairman members or whatever the hell. That's it. I also found out that freaking a person who is, or when a person within a corporation commits a crime, they don't even have to show up for court. They can have their freaking prosecute or their attorney show up in their place, and they can't be prosecuted for a freaking crime if they're doing it for the purpose of the corporation.
Depends on jurisdiction and also depends on the crime
Well,
or the alleged crime.
it,
Remember, you're innocent until proven guilty, therefore alleged.
alleged. That is true. Now, the whole thing with that is what the philosophical part was. Now they do have something else that I believe I can find for the legal part. Now this has to do with entities, okay? Um, and actually, I did see something here that mentioned entities down here. Uh, what is crucially moral is the being of a person, not his or her functioning. A human person does not come into existence when human function arises, but rather a human person is an entity who has the natural inherent capacity to give rise to human functions, whether or not those functions are ever attained. A human person who lacks the ability to think rationally, either because she is too young or she suffers from a disability, is still a human person because of their
Mm.
nature. Consequently,
Yeah, hence what I was saying. Hence my point earlier. Yeah.
consequently, it makes sense to speak of a human being's lack if if and only if she is an actual person. Now that comes from Francis Beckwith, and he was an abortion bioethics in personhood. Well,
Yeah.
he's the one who did the abortion bioethics and personhood, a philosophical reflection. So they did mention
Yeah.
that,
No, that.
and now we come to non-human
Actually, I
animals.
and something I pick up on. You opened up with the sort of more arguments there. Morality is a subjective concept in itself.
Now, for corporations in statutory and corporative law, certain social constructs are legally considered persons. In many jurisdictions, some corporations and other organizations are
Ah,
considered
sorry.
jurisdictional
Legally,
persons.
before you continue, legally considered, what was it, a person in certain countries, or in majority of countries, but again, you have to caveat that.
Now, these
Just because it's legal in your country doesn't mean it's legal in my
a
country, and
jurisdiction
vice versa.
person is a legal person that is not a natural person but an organization recognized by law as a fictitious person such as a corporation, government agency, non-government agent, governmental organization, or international organization. Other terms include artificial person, corporate person, judicial person. So sorry to tell you, bud, your courthouse, all those judges inside, everything, those are your jurisdictional persons. Okay?
Hmm.
It's not just corporations.
Again, you've got to look at it from a context of jurisdictional powers, because it's just true in outer Mongolia, it's just true in Zimbabwe. But on the whole, yeah, agreed.
And, like, they're even trying to push freaking animal rights by freaking saying that animals need to be a person as well.
Yeah, this is an argument that organisations like PETA, and what was it, ALF, the terrorist organisation, the Animal League, wherever they are, foundation, have been pushing for decades now.
And environmental entities, freaking, they
Hmm.
here lately, the big trend is freaking that they want to treat freaking like uh, nature like waterways, okay? And they want to make them into a person because they want to treat it freaking like it's a waterway and shit. You know what I mean? So they're even doing that with freaking environmental activists and stuff. So
As far as as far as you're concerned, I'm going to have to read that later. That's quite a lot of information there. Um, she's asked me if the Minds Gaming article is, if she's right about that. Again, I would have to think and read that later. think
it's
about
it's a
it
good
the further.
article. It's a good article, but like
Uh,
I thought he was actually like getting going from that into something about freaking AI and like everything that's on there
yeah.
is about the freaking theory. So
Mm.
now, here's something here for modified humans. The theoretical landscape of personhood theory has been altered recently by controversy in the bioethics community concerning an emerging community of scholars, researchers, and activists identifying with an explicitly transhumanist position which supports morphological freedom. Even if a person changed so much as to no longer be considered a member of the human species. For example, how much of a human can be artificially replaced before one loses their personhood? If people are considered persons because of their brains, then what if the brain's thought patterns, memories, and other attributes could be transposed into a device? Would the patient still be considered a person after the operation?
Very Isaac Asimov. Yeah, this has been written about in a lot of science fiction for decades now.
Well, let's leave science fiction out of it. What are
Um,
your thoughts? Let's hear your thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts, not. I mean, what you just heard about that? What?
Again, I consider a person to be, in essence, a brain.
Okay, so if they
I
transferred,
mean, everything else is,
if they transferred your thoughts, your brain patterns, all that stuff out of your brain and put it into an artificial freaking robot or
yeah,
machine.
that's yeah, but you're transferring stuff out of the brain. Therefore, the brain itself is no longer. Yeah, surely it's a soul. Bob said, and what is a soul?
Hmm.
Um, is again, a brain is what makes a person or what makes an entity an entity.
Now, if they did
Um,
that, do you think that freaking you should have the same amount of rights as the rest of the human race?
what transferring your thoughts out of the brain?
If
No, because your brain, the actual physical brain matter doesn't exist anymore,
okay, that's
and
that's what.
therefore it is not you. It is to say, transfer of your thoughts as a duplication of your thoughts and your history. That is not you.
All right, okay. Now here we come to the freaking artificial intelligence or life. Okay. Now, if artificial intelligence, intelligent and self-aware system of hardware and software are eventually created, what criteria would determine their personhood? Likewise, at what point would human created biological life achieve personhood? Digital technologies have been argued to hold the potential to give rise to notions of posthumanist personhood, where the digital remains of the dead are reanimated through into artificial intelligence and allowed the dead to maintain interaction with the living if they were to closely no, if they were to closely resemble a person in its interactions with others, they could be considered persons.
Okay. Um, Definitions can be manipulated. Definitions don't necessarily have to be static. What we define, what we legally defined as a person at the moment may not be the same in 100 years' time.
I'm putting you back on the screen because you got the pretty face, and I want to get the views. So I've done my reading. Get that, get that,
Thank you.
get that pretty face on there, and then we got Bob Dub over
Scared
there.
them off.
I'm glad freaking I. Oh wow, she had a whole lot of shit to say.
Mm,
Okay, yeah,
mm,
dynamic space there. She shared it on here. So
mm.
what's your take on that last part though?
Again, like I just said, legal definitions can change over time. What jurisdictions consider, territories consider to be a person at the moment may not be the same as what those territories will consider a person, a legalized person or legalese person to be in 100 years' time.
No, see that goes back to what I was saying in the beginning about what a freaking person is determined. Like whenever I was 15, I was that person. I'm not that person anymore. Now that I'm 51, I've changed over time and I've freaking become this person. You see what I mean? With different thoughts, different ideas, different way of thinking.
To use a legal simile, use a simile. I'm not going to say the word because that word will ban us on YouTube. But this cigarette was once known by a three-letter word beginning with F. That word has a totally different meaning now.
Right. And you have to understand time is not linear. Okay?
It's linear
No.
in it is today, tomorrow, or tomorrow what happened tomorrow, and the next day what happened the day after, and blurb.
But your memories aren't freaking 100%. Like my memories aren't 100%. The way I perceive something today that happened 10 years ago isn't exactly the way it happened. It's just the way I still perceive it. You see what I mean? Like if I went back and I looked at what actually happened, it would freaking blow me out of the water because freaking I didn't picture it being like that. You know what I mean? In my head today.
Okay, Bob Dub just mentioned something about not according to Hawkins. It goes back on the set. But talking, if you talk about the sort of gravitational pull of the Earth and rotation and time in that context, then yeah, it's just linear. But what you're talking about is your perception of time.
Exactly. And that's the whole
That is
thing.
a different.
See,
It's a different different
Bob
thing,
Dove just
different argument.
piped in on that too. Like she's right. That's what I was getting at. Okay, we just perceive it as linear in short term. Okay, but mathematically it is secular. Okay, which means that freaking it's not linear. Like if
Hmm.
the best way for me to explain it is like back in freaking 80s, if you remember how annoying those freaking retro games were. Okay, like in today's world you have like open world video games where you can run around and do whatever the hell you want and freaking be free in freaking Minecraft. Okay, but back in the 80s when you played freaking games, there was no way around freaking certain points. You either freaking learned how to do that or you freaking didn't win the game. You know what I'm saying? Game over. It's the end of the game because you can't freaking figure out
Actually,
how.
I can think of a couple 80s games that were sort of very open world,
Well, you understand where I'm
extreme open
coming
world.
from. You
Yeah,
understand where I'm coming from with
mm,
those kind of games, right? Like there was, you didn't freaking learn tricks around how to get around that. You had to learn how to actually do what you had needed to do in order to get past that point. You know, there was no freaking workarounds. There was no way of cheating. You had to do it that certain
or unless
way.
you find a bug or learn to program.
Right. But that
yeah.
is that's linear. You know what I mean? There's no
Mm.
workarounds. Whereas freaking like now you have freaking games where you don't have to contend with that kind of shit. You can freaking go left instead of going right. Stuff like that, you know,
Mm.
where you didn't have that before. And that's what I'm saying with like freaking with our perception, freaking, you know, time isn't linear. It's not linear at all. It's like freaking it is very circular. We see things in a different way. Like with you and freaking your the way you see things, your freaking pupils and the way they're set up are different from my pupils and my eyes. We all have different pigments that are freaking lost and we can't, which make it to where I don't see things in the same way that you see things. Like literally
No,
we don't.
I'm no neurologist or eye
No,
specialist, whatever that may be. So
so we're
than what
literally
the average humans.
at the same time looking at the same thing. Me and you see it from two different perspectives. We don't see it at in the same way physically with our own eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but if I put this in front of race, you will recognize it as a lighter.
I
I
do.
recognize it as a lighter.
I'll see something different though than what you see from it because my
But, but you would still recognize it as a
right,
probably green or blue lighter.
right, exactly. You know, but it would be off in some way because we don't see, our eyes aren't perfectly the same. We don't see things in the same way. So that's that's something else too. You know what I mean? Like I could freaking sit and think that I had this memory of freaking, and I seen freaking the way this cute little kitty cat that freaking Bob Dub has looked. You know what I mean? And freaking all of a sudden 5 years down the road we talk about how cute Bob Dub's kitty cat is and freaking you say, man, that cat freaking didn't look like that, and then the next thing you know we're having a conversation about disagreeing on the way freaking Bob Dub's cat looked, you know.
Okay, yeah. Again, memory tends to fade over time,
Right. And that's
especially when you get to our age.
right.
So,
You see, those are aspects of being freaking a person. You know what I mean? It's
mm,
things change as time goes by. Who I was back when I was 15 years old isn't the same person I was am today.
but from a legal perspective, you're still the person because as far as you are still that same number on your social security, you're still the same social security number as you were 15, 20 years ago.
They've also that's the reason why they freaking made it to where you have statutes of limitation, and it's also why they have to freaking uh, do things when it comes to criminal charges too, because like when you go into prison and you freaking pay your freaking debt to society, when you come out freaking, then you shouldn't freaking be treated as a convict. Convicts get treated like a convict in prison, you know what I'm saying?
There's the entire argument about prison being a form of rehabilitation and the old you've served your time sort of concepts, but
Right. So I mean,
again, the,
you still have those things coming on, and then the statute of limitations is something else too. That freaking I
mm,
did. You got to take that into consideration.
mm,
Now, freaking Bob Dub said we just perceive. Okay, now she said, but you are one physical entity, even though you have changed. The masculine bit is the bit that is always the same. Oh, the masculine bit is always the bit that is the same. The feminine bit is that you change over time. Yeah, the underlying.
okay, again, we are talking about sort of. philosophy and physical. I'm looking at the idea concept of person from the legal standpoint.
Yeah.
So
With
two different
with
contexts.
with what she's saying though, she's right in her last one. It's both things at the same time. Like he paid his freaking debt to society, which is the masculine aspects. The freaking changing over time is the freaking feminine aspects because freaking he's literally that's what happens behind the scenes that you don't see. You don't see that this person has gone from a 15-year-old to a 51-year-old. When you look at me, you see a 51-year-old man. You don't see me as a 15-year-old man right now. You know what I mean?
Huh. Also, on the point of 15-year-old, you're still in most countries, still majority of countries, you're still classed as a minor. So there is a distinction between minor and adulthood there as well.
Mm-hmm. So, what's your idea of the masculine aspect, Mark?
Again, I'm just looking at the point of view from a legal concept rather than than the than the concept that you and Bob Dub are talking about.
Well, what that would be when it most likely comes to politics and freaking the legal aspects would be your responsibility. You see what I mean?
Legal
Like
point of view.
you're you have certain responsibilities as freaking a person that you're obligated to do
Mm.
from the time you're born until now. That would be the masculine aspects that she's just talking about. So, what do you think as a human
Yeah.
being, as as a person? What do you think your responsibilities would be as a person from the time you were born until now?
Mm. Well, again, there is a difference between minor and being an adult. I mean, as a minor, I don't pay. I wouldn't pay paying taxes. I wouldn't be forced to do any work, or well, not forced to do any work, but contribute to society. That's to say.
All right,
I mean, we don't do child slavery
all right. Well, not anymore.
in modern day.
You guys got in trouble for
Yeah.
that shit. The French came down on you and said, "Hey, look, freaking, what was
The French was just as bad.
oh,
The
Mr.
US was
Bloom?
just as bad.
Oh, Mr. Bloom
Of
said,
course,
hold
over
on
the years.
now." Oh, Mr. Bloom said in French, "Oh, hold on here. What you think you do in English?"
Mm,
I said, "You're gonna have a 40-hour a week, a 40-hour a week, and you ain't gonna make those kids work in the warehouses no more."
actually, no, we introduced the 40. Are you talking about the working time directive? No, we had legislation long before the working time directive came into power. I mean, even now, you look at the average working week for a full-time employee in the UK compared to the US. In the UK, it's 38 hours a week. In the US, I think the average is what 41 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
And we are and as employees, we are entitled to things like statutory or holidays. Then in the US, as an employee, you aren't
Right. Now see that
legally
that
permitted.
all has to do with being a person. Okay. All of it. That encompasses what a person is. That doesn't have anything to do with you being born. Okay.
That is related to being an employee rather than a person.
Well, you kind
Is
of
there?
are. Yeah. See, now that's what determines you as a person. I mean, period. That's it. your responsibilities as a human being, and that's it. And
Uh,
people get that
no,
confused.
because in that
Well, not
context, if
as a
I'm
human.
self-employed, then I'm not entitled to statutory holidays.
Well, dude, freaking, that's just common sense, isn't it? I mean, that really is.
Yeah,
If
but
you're
but
if you're,
but,
I mean,
but
if you're not working, you're not gonna be freaking, going and taking
no,
a day.
I mean, if I'm a self-employed person, then I would be entitled to the statutory holidays by law.
Yeah. Well, your employees, if you're the boss. If you're the boss and you have
Yeah,
employees, you would have to freaking make it to where they have those days off. So it's still,
yeah,
you know, it's kind of
employees rather than contractors, because again, that's a totally different kettle of fish.
now think of it in this way later on with artificial intelligence and freaking things of that nature with what we've just discussed. Okay, this is the kind of stuff they're trying to freaking set up laws for, to where freaking artificial intelligence will freaking somehow be protected so that they're not treated unfairly. Just like they're trying to set up laws now about animal rights and activism and shit. See what I mean? This is
Again, dependent jurisdiction, some of these things have been trying to be pushed for decades now, and
I've been really
nothing's happened yet.
I have been really fascinated with this whole artificial intelligence thing, and this is one of the aspects that really caught my attention. And I know that it goes into like freaking workers' rights and it goes into law and all that stuff, but people better get a hold and freaking realize this same shit is going to freaking affect artificial intelligence, and it's also going to affect freaking the time when we finally have robotics.
Again, I can't see that happening in any time soon because there's the entire argument about sentience and what is sentience.
Yeah,
And
awareness,
that is a big,
consciousness.
wide argument.
It's the consciousness thing, I think, is what it is, because that's one thing we even uh, had.
Consciousness, sentiment, synonyms, really. Yeah.
And what is being conscious?
Mm,
That's another thing. What is being conscious?
mm.
So I think we did really good on freaking this today, man, and we did it by ourselves. We didn't need Tan this time. What do you think?
He, he might have come up with some other ideas. No doubt he would.
Well, see, the thing that you have to keep in mind whenever we had this conversation is like freaking when I was talking, and this is actual freaking deep learning. Okay, when I bring this up, and it's paradigms.
Mm,
Everybody hears the word paradigm shift and paradigm that and paradigm this, but in computers there's actually a paradigms. Okay, and it's a thought process.
paradigms in everything.
The computer, it's a computer process where they have to freaking think. Okay, they have to be able to change from one paradigm to another. So when I ask a computer, what does the color brown smell like, they have to be able to switch from one paradigm to another and tell you freaking what they believe the color brown smells like.
Not what they believe. Again, a computer does not have a mind of its own, therefore it cannot believe.
If they can answer the
It,
question, they can switch. That
it can translate that question into something that it understands and then refer to a database of um, options and then come up with the most likely answer for that question.
right. Yeah, Now is that
That's not having a mind of its own. I can just reiterate a load of stuff from Wikipedia all day. And that doesn't mean I've got a mind of my own.
that's you're the one that said it. I didn't.
Well, no, I'm not saying that I haven't got a mind of my own, but
No, I mean
yeah.
you just said freaking you could like download shit from Wikipedia, and then you turn around and say freaking. But that doesn't mean I've got a life of my or a mind of my own or whatever you just said.
Yeah, because I'm just reiterating a load of stuff from a source
What the fuck
that's
are you
been
doing?
written by humans.
What the fuck are you doing downloading shit from Wikipedia though? Come on, dude.
I'm just using that as an example. I'm just using that as an example.
I'm gonna take that freaking what you just said and I'm gonna make it a clip because that's gonna be cool I'll make like a trailer of you saying that, dude.
You should stick it in context.
Yeah, no,
Context is
it's
important.
still cool. It's still cool. I've got good stuff from Bob Dub too. Freaking that me and her were doing. So that okay, she said, but it is miraculous that it can come up with words that are so relevant, isn't it?
Is it? Is it? I can get a copy of the Oxford English Dictionary, scan through it, and say, oh, that word is relevant to my ones talking about, therefore I use that word. It's not a miracle, it's just been, again, just being able to relay information in a common language, common tongue.
Well, that goes back to what I was saying. What is conscious? I mean, consciousness in a scientific freaking terminology is exactly what you just described. I mean, there's no soul in science. You know that, right?
Mm,
I mean,
mm, mm,
science doesn't care if you got a soul or not. They know
yeah.
how your brain functions, and this is what happens. You know, there's unique things though that humans and freaking creatures, animals, all have that makes them conscious. Okay, like freaking we know what the freaking color brown smells like. All right.
Okay.
Yes, you do, Bob Dub. You know what the color brown smells like. That's also the reason why they tell you not to wear brown suits to interviews. Did you know that?
I mean, what one thing that's coloured brown, what the colour this tobacco, the tobacco in this is brown, but it smells totally different from I don't know, coffee beans.
So, what does the color brown smell like?
That's the smell.
Let's see.
What does the
See
colour
now,
brown taste like?
see
Taste of?
now. This is where we come up to like that's what a computer has a hard time with. They can't answer that question. Computers will say that it doesn't have a smell. You see what I mean? Humans will freaking relate the color brown to shit.
I think about it, but again, I represented brown as tobacco and coffee beans.
Right, right.
That my coffee beans don't smell. So I hope not at least.
Okay, and but that's what freaking they're talking about with being able to freaking change from one paradigm to another is where you can make those connections where freaking a machine can't do it. Now
Anyway,
with the AI, they're starting to do that. They're starting to be able to develop programs that can freaking change from one paradigm to another one. It was just like on that
it's
video.
just a lot of conditional programming.
It was
I
just like
mean,
that video that Tan showed where freaking the guy had the two phones and one was talking to the other one.
yeah,
Now the most significant part about that was the fact that whenever freaking he made it to where that phone couldn't see him and he had the girl do the rabbit ears, the other phone freaking was able to
Mm.
see it. So when he asked the phone that was turned away from him what had happened, to freaking figure
He,
out
he
what.
didn't actually ask the, he, let's get, he didn't actually ask the phone. He asked the software that was
Okay,
being provided by, that was being,
exactly.
yeah, provided by whether that is being displayed or being accessed by the phone.
Right. So what he did
Phone
is
is
he
just,
he asked
again,
he asked that what had happened, and because that phone or the software within that phone wasn't visually able to see it, it was able to freaking change or adjust to another paradigm. It was able to gather that information from the other phone that was sitting on the desk
yeah, but
to answer the question.
okay, let's. Most of these artificial intelligence things are external to the device, so platforms as a server, so cloud, things, and who's to say that the phone that the thing that's being accessed by one phone is not using the same database as the artificial intelligence that is being accessed by the other phone.
Don't know.
They share the same database. It's
Don't know.
probably could well be the same software,
Now later on,
same
I think we should
host.
look over that freaking video again to make sure that that's true. Because I don't know for sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure they freaking described what phones were. So that
Uh,
I'll check that video out and bring it up at a later time
yeah.
for us. Now,
Hmm.
another thing that I do want to mention too that also freaking brings up the fact that someday freaking technology will rise up against us and freaking destroy civilization as we know it. Rise
The
of the
end of the
machine.
world as we know it.
Right, rise
I
of the
feel fine.
machine.
Oh, maybe, maybe, and maybe by that time we'll go and find life on the blue fuzzy creatures on in Alpha Centauri.
Now see,
Who knows?
Bob Dubs.
We might have destroyed ourselves. We might have gone into.
Bob Dub
We
is.
might have. I don't know. Nuclear war and destroyed ourselves. So
No,
anything
no,
could happen
no.
before then.
Hold on now. I've got to educate Bob Dub because she's pretty naive in the world of sci-fi. I'm gonna have to freaking kind of bring her up to date on this. Okay, now understand what the machines have the benefit from artificial intelligence and taking over freaking the world is they achieve consciousness, okay? And what happens is they freaking hear all of this crazy information that's being fed into their databases about us human beings and what we really are. See, like we like to talk about the fuzzy, pretty things, but there's a lot of ugly shit too. So these computers are taking in all the information, the good and the bad. So they're honestly seeing us for what we really are. And eventually, when they achieve consciousness, they decide that freaking we are the
Yes,
problem and we need to be
yes.
eliminated. So that's
Who's
that's
to say that long before that we don't of a let's say a nuclear war and put ourselves back into the dark ages? Who's to say that we won't be living in caves in 1,000 years' time?
yeah. Well, I don't want to get her too scared because I mean she's you know
But you're making a lot of assumptions.
well, of course, it's a
That's my
freaking
point.
sci-fi movie, dude. I mean, shit. Like, you're not seriously trying to be all scientific, are you?
Well,
I
anything
am.
could happen.
This is
Anything could
the
happen.
Terminator. I mean, shit. Well, the whole
I
premise is
mean,
the whole premise of the movie goes off of that.
who's to say that next week a major meteorite doesn't hit this planet and normal humanity?
Well, I would rather just go with freaking the Terminator because I mean the Terminator is cool. Freaking, did you see freaking?
Or Volcano,
Well,
or whatever,
the
yeah.
first two are okay. After, well, the third one's kind of good, but that's it. And the only reason why I liked that
Okay.
was because freaking the freaking Terminator was on the semi truck when it was sliding into the freaking
Okay, I only
reactor.
can remember the first two films, and I haven't watched them in decades now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good
So
20, 30 odd years, so
since we've covered the Terminator and we've done that, I think we've pretty much covered AI. Unless you guys both have something else that you want to add to it. Like, I'm done.
uh, in your theory, whatever happens, it's the end of humanity.
Satan.
The end is nigh.
Satan.
I want to now listen to
I
some
said it.
Jim Morrison.
I said it. I said it, didn't I? I said it. I said it. I said Satan.
Yeah, I'm
Satan.
going to listen to the Doors after this.
Yeah. And nobody wants to. No. Now that I've said Satan, we can end this and say that we've done a good
Okay,
job today.
Stephen. Okay.
And
Yeah.
we've covered AI. We've covered all of the stuff freaking that I think I need to discuss. Because that's the thing that
Okay.
I really wanted to cover was personhood and artificial intelligence. Because you guys are just getting too caught up in this consciousness shit. Like,
No, I think. Well, I'm not. I'm trying to just stay to the facts. I'm not going to. I'm not going down these sort of very
if
what if
if any
ideas. I'm.
if anything does come out of that whole thing, it will be more on the legal aspects than anything else. Yeah,
Hmm,
you know what I mean?
indeed.
It
Indeed.
it really will.
And I can't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah. Now, Bob Dub said, "Where is consciousness? Does it exist outside of the human mind or inside of it?" See, now she's getting pretty.
Inside it, but I think therefore I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds
So
good.
time. That's what isn't it? Yeah.
But what is right? Okay, we're gonna have to do this on a philosophical video
Yeah,
because
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah. I think this is more of a.
Yeah.
This is a
Well,
really a
these are things.
technology thing. This is
th-
more.
these are things that freaking artificial intelligence has to figure out. But like, I think we should do this at a different time.
No, what we have to figure out, not what
Well,
artificial intelligence.
if you don't want the freaking
After
Terminator
all,
coming at your door, dude, and you know, if
after all, isn't artificial intelligence like any computer software, like any yeah piece of electronic or computer at all?
we'll see. That's the best thing I can say. At this level, you can't because like I'm talking to Bob Dub about freaking deformed fingers and shit and eyeballs that don't look right. You know what I mean? But as
Okay.
time goes by, it's going to evolve into freaking something, and it's going to become more.
Again, not if there's a major disaster. If we or something happens, I will cease the development.
So Bob Dub has her speculation. She says I would like to speculate that consciousness will might jump up into a machine, and and she means I mean consciousness will decide. So that's her speculation. You got a speculation?
again, does he mean by consciousness? Again, this is where definitions are important. Um,
Now,
Again, until you can define what subtly you mean. Um,
what do I mean? Yes, indeed. What is it? What is consciousness? That's the question. That's what
precisely,
I
precisely.
think we brought that up like 3 times today. Freaking all 3 of us have brought
Mm,
it up 3 times today. So, you know, that is the question. I mean, that really what it comes down to. Yep.
mm, to be or not to be.
That is the question. So, with that, I am going to go ahead and end it and just say, friggin' for the final words, I want to say Satan. Sound good?
Whatever, whatever. Our Dark Lord and Master.
I will go ahead and end this. And sorry that we didn't get to see my Tanhai Tran. Last time we seen him, he was having bad
Indeed.
allergies. So just to let you guys
Yeah,
know that
yeah.
probably the reason why he's not here. So thanks for being in chat with us, Bob Dub. We really did
Indeed, indeed.
enjoy your conversation, and hopefully we can get you back in here to
Uh,
have more conversations. And Mark, before we go, do you want to tell everybody where they can contact you and get to know you?
yeah, again, minds.com/Mayberry.
All right, and
That's the only social.
okay, sounds